Well, I grew up in Bulgaria during communist times. I come from a non-Christian family, so I grew up without any knowledge of religion, Christianity, faith, the Bible. Bulgaria during the 70s and the 80s was a communist state, and so in schools we were taught that religion was an ideology devised by capitalist systems to keep people in subjection. I was quite interested in the Bible because of reading references about the Bible in various books, but you couldn't get a copy of the Bible in those days. It wasn't on sale. So when things changed in Eastern Europe in 1990 and there was quite a lot of freedom and openness, I just stumbled upon a group of people who were meeting for a Bible study, and the guy who was leading that group was giving away free New Testaments. So I thought, cool, I'll go and get a free book. And we were discussing what the story was and what it meant. I thought to myself, if there's any truth in that story, this person, Jesus, is really someone who is quite extraordinary. And so I spent a few months in a bit of an intellectual turmoil because my heart was pulled in one direction, but my mind was telling me something else. So I started reading books about Christianity, and I began to realize that it explained the world a lot better than anything else I had come across. It explained, for example, the presence of evil, the presence of beauty and goodness, and why we're drawn to one and still the other exists in the world, and a lot of other aspects of experience. And I also began to look at the historical veracity of the New Testament documents. So gradually I came to the conclusion that this was something that I could believe in without committing an intellectual suicide. And right from the very start, when I became a Christian, I knew I wanted to study theology. I was really nervous that I might turn out to be a heretic without realizing I'm one. And I was always kind of wondering, well, what if I'm wrong in one particular point? And without realizing it, I destroyed the whole thing because of some lack of orthodoxy. And that corresponds to, I think, a picture of a God who is kind of tick the box kind of God. And if you tick all the right boxes, then you go in, and if you don't, then you stay out. I did my master's thesis on the book of Ecclesiastes. As I was studying that book, I realized that the author of Ecclesiastes was struggling with some of the same questions that I struggled with. And he was faced with the vastness of God's works and the universe that God has created, and even beyond that, the mystery of God. And compared with that, everything that I have and know is very limited and insignificant. And I think my understanding of God has, over the years, changed in that I see God who is really passionate about truth and justice, and at the same time a God who is generous. I don't really know whether I'm getting everything right, and I suspect there are a lot of things that I get wrong. But the one thing that has changed is that I trust in God's mercy and goodness now a lot more than I did before. And I know therefore that God is going to be ultimately compassionate towards me.